Hello and good morning from scorching hot Seville in the south of Spain. I'm currently at the city's spectacular Plaza de España. This impressive structure opened back in 1929. I'm just about to make my way to Sevilla Santa Justa, which is the city's main railway station, to catch my ride up to Cáceres in the somewhat remote region of Extremadura. We'll be travelling aboard a Renfe Media Distancia or medium distance service today. Anyway, before we begin our journey north, let's just head up to the station and check it out. Sevilla Santa Justa is located about half an hour's walk to the east of the city centre. Now, don't be fooled by the clouds, this was a scorching hot June day, so if lugging yourself and your luggage through the sweltering summer heat doesn't sound appealing to you, then you could take a bus or taxi to reach the station. Sevilla Santa Justa was designed to accommodate the Madrid to Seville high-speed line and opened alongside the then new line in 1991. I found the concourse to be wide, open and spacious. There's a ticket office and some ticket machines just to my left as we enter, although as is usually the case these days, I found purchasing online and in advance to be the best way of buying my tickets. The station is also home to a semi-decent selection of shops and places to grab a bite to eat, including a McDonald's. Departures and arrivals boards can be found above where you access the platforms. Our train is the 11:55 to Madrid-Atocha, train number MD17907. Cáceres is about halfway between here and Madrid. A quick side note, the high-speed line has really cut down the travel time between here and Madrid. Our train is scheduled to take 8 hours and 15 minutes to reach the Spanish capital, whereas the high-speed AVE services take just 2.5 hours. Obviously, if you are travelling all the way from Seville to Madrid, then the AVE services are the way to go, even if they do cost a little bit extra. Anyway, I've now come down to the platform to await the arrival of our train. I'd just like to say, for a fairly modern station, the curved canopy here is really quite nice. On the opposite platform to where our train will be departing from, waits a Renfe Avant regional high-speed service. You can find my review of an Avant service in the top right corner of the screen now. The train pulls in fresh from the depot about 15 minutes prior to departure. Our ride up to Cáceres today will be aboard an S599 diesel multiple unit. These trains were purpose-built for Renfe's medium-distance services by CAF and entered service with the Spanish national operator in 2009. They have a top speed of 160 km an hour or 99 miles per hour. These trains operate on Spain's conventional Iberian gauge lines, which are much wider than the standard gauge lines that the high-speed trains operate on. A seat reservation is required to travel on this service, and I have been allocated Coach 1, Seat 35. All seating is Turista or second class. As far as second class goes, I thought legroom was really good. A footrest, seat back pocket, and a large and relatively sturdy tray table are all provided. The tray table even has a little cup holder, which I think is a nice touch. Some coat hooks are provided on the wall, and you'll also find a reading light and a window blind. A pair of plug sockets can be found between the seats, and I'm pleased to report that these worked just fine. These seats also offer a fairly good amount of recline, which is nice, and as for the seat comfort, well, it's okay without being outstanding. They're very similar to the second class seats you'll find on the gauge-changing Alvia trains. One last thing before we set off, let's just take a quick look at our route for today. Our route today will see us heading north from Seville, via the likes of Zafra and Mérida, before arriving into Cáceres. Scheduled travel time today is 4 hours and 15 minutes. And we depart Seville about 5 minutes late, at midday. The first portion of our trip sees us running parallel to the high-speed line as we make our way east towards Los Rosiales. About 20 minutes after departing Seville, we arrive in Los Rosiales, which is where we will branch away from the high-speed line and begin heading north. Our stop here in Los Rosiales was only supposed to be brief. However, for unknown reasons, we end up picking up about 45 minutes of delay here. Eventually, we call up Villanueva del Rio Minas, where there's an old steam locomotive on display. If anyone happens to know the story behind it, then be sure to leave a comment. One of the benefits of taking the train is getting to see parts of Spain that are completely off the beaten path. There's no way a British tourist such as myself would have gazed upon some of the small towns and villages we pass through on this trip, were it not for taking the train. As we approach Llerena, we pass Castillo de Llerena. Its name translates to Queen's Castle in English, and are the remains of a 12th century Muslim citadel. Right, time for a quick wonder. Being a regional train, the interior is pretty basic, but nice enough nonetheless. The S599s each have 3 coaches, with the middle coach having space for bicycles. Spaces need to be reserved and cost €3 for journeys over 100 kilometres, but are free to use if your journey is shorter than this. The middle coach also has vending machines, although these were out of use at the time of filming. Additionally, you'll also find spaces for wheelchair users, with this part being lowered to allow for easier access. You'll find toilets in 2 of the train's 3 coaches. I found them to be exceptionally clean, and everything you might expect to be here was, a perfectly functional toilet. We eventually arrive in the city of Zafra. The city hosts an annual livestock fair, which has been running since at least 1435. Usually, Zafra is only home to around 17,000 people, but the fair usually sees around 1.5 million people descending upon the city. Around 25 minutes later, we arrive in Almendralejo, which, in August 1936, was the site of a major battle during the Spanish Civil War. About an hour out of Cáceres, we cross the river Guadiana as we approach the city of Mérida. As we approach Mérida station, we pass Aqueducto de los Milagros, or Aqueduct of Miracles, which is thought to have been built in the 1st century AD. To say it's about 2,000 years old, I think it's in incredible condition. The aqueduct is part of the larger archaeological ensemble of Mérida, which is a large collection of well-preserved Roman buildings and is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. A few moments later, we arrive at Mérida station, which will be our final stop prior to Cáceres. We reverse directions here, as well as undergo a crew change.
Renfe welcomes you on board this commuter train bound for Madrid Atocha Cercanías. We are grateful you have chosen our service. Renfe wishes you a pleasant trip.
As we approach Cáceres, we run alongside the Madrid to Extremadura to Lisbon high-speed line, which is currently under construction and will eventually connect the Spanish and Portuguese capital via Cáceres and Badajoz in just 2 hours and 45 minutes, a far cry from the current journey time between the 2 capitals. I covered the current route between Madrid and Lisbon in a previous video, which you can find in the top right corner of the screen now. Overall, I found the journey aboard the Media Distancia S599 to be a fairly pleasant one. Now sure, the delay was a bit of an inconvenience, but these trains were fairly comfortable and, other than the lack of any onboard catering, fairly well equipped for a journey of this length, although I believe that the onboard catering has now been reinstated, which is good to see. So, the cost. Well, I paid €32.85 for my one-way ticket, booking about 4 weeks in advance, although there's no actual advantage to booking a long way ahead, as the price will be the same whether you book 2 months or 2 minutes in advance. Now I don't know about you, but I think that's rather expensive for a journey of this length on what is essentially a regional train. Now granted, train travel in Spain isn't exactly the cheapest out there, but this is still rather pricey, even by their standards. So, a comfortable but expensive journey, but what did you make of the experience? Be sure to let me know in the comments below.
Cercanías. Próxima parada. Cáceres. Train bound for Madrid-Atocha Cercanías. Next station.
Anyway, welcome to the lovely city of Cáceres, where we arrive around 45 minutes late at 5 to 5. With that, I do hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to help us out by giving it a like. If you're new to the channel, then you're going to want to subscribe and enable notifications as I publish new trip reports every Monday and Friday. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you on Friday.